So, good afternoon. Let's talk about some exciting topic. We have been hearing about like AI, Metaverse, XR, and sustainability, all those exciting topics. So today we'd like to share with you our observations about why we say Metaverse is the next biggest thing, not just the biggest thing, big thing, but the biggest thing. Why? Because of our observations regarding the okay. So we believe Metaverse is facing a huge opportunity for explosive and disruptive growth because of the recent rise of AI. So let me explain the rationale behind this narrative. So first of all, let's take a look at Metaverse plus AI, how AI is helping Metaverse from both supply side and the demand side. From the supply side, we know when we are talking about Metaverse, we are talking about tremendous virtual worlds, virtual objects, virtual scenes, and virtual characters. If we create all this virtual content manually, it will be a mission impossible. But with the help of generative AI, we will be able to create those virtual content 100 or even 1,000 times faster. Also, billions of virtual characters, aka NPC non-player characters, could be driven by generative AI to provide a more intelligent and more customized experience for the users. So that's why we believe AI will be a critical enabling component for Metaverse, for the real takeoff for Metaverse in at least these aspects. Help enrich the content of Metaverse, help drive the intelligent NPCs in Metaverses, and also help the XR devices understand the worlds, and also help the XR devices understand the users. But more importantly, let's look at the demand side. So previously, people may argue, who will need a Metaverse? Is Metaverse really a rigid demand? So our observation is that there is a transition happening in the labor market driven by generative AI. So previously, if you look at the skill level distribution of any particular skill level in our human beings, the distribution is like a pyramid on the left. Like 20% or 25% of people, their skill level is above average, which means they can call themselves professionals. Then they can make a living by doing that, performing that skill as a job. The other guys, their skill level is below the average. They are amateurs. They cannot make a living by performing that skill. But with generative AI, the good side is that generative AI will significantly improve skill level of anybody to a much higher level, like 90 point or even 95 point, which means the new distribution will be like the diagram on the right is like a plateau. Which means like, everybody's skill level is much higher, which sounds like a good thing. However, the average is also much higher, which means only 1% or 2% of people, their skill level is still above average. They can still call themselves professionals. They can still make a living by performing that skill. And more other guys, their skill level will be below average, which means they will become amateurs. They cannot make a living by performing that skill as a job. So, which means we have a new demand. Those people, more and more people, they need to either find new job opportunities, or they need to just enjoy few working hours or more leisure time. So how can we accommodate those needs? If we accommodate these needs for new job opportunities or new services and facilities for more leisure time, if we accommodate those needs in our real world, we will face another challenge. It's called sustainability. So we believe Metaverse is probably, if not the only approach, is probably the best approach to accommodate those new needs, which means the growth of AI is indirectly driving Metaverse, making Metaverse a rigid demand. That's why we think from the demand side, AI is also help boost the development of Metaverse. And let's also take a look at AI plus Metaverse, how Metaverse will help AI. So as we have been hearing a new concept like multimodal data input for large models, like embodied AI, like AGI, artificial general intelligence. Those kind of new development of AI will need a real-world like training environment to provide massive multimodal training data. So if we provide such kind of environment in the real world, we will face a problem like the cost and the risk will be high, and also we will not be able to provide very diverse corner cases or testing cases. But the Metaverse can provide such kind of environment with the lowest cost and risk, and also the highest efficiency and the diversity. So which means we believe training AI in Metaverse will become the new common for AI R&D. This is already happening, like in autonomous driving industry. Every company has been testing their vehicles, their autonomous driving algorithms in virtual worlds, on virtual roads, and before they really put their cars on the real world, real roads. So this is already happening. We believe Metaverse will also be a key to the further development of AI.
So I want to quickly interrupt. So what you're saying is like Metaverse will help AI, and AI will help Metaverse.
Yeah, we call that
synergistic
development of synergistic acceleration of AI and the Metaverse. Yeah, so that's why we say Metaverse is digitalization 5.0. If we talk about, if we take a look at the digitalization, the history, we're actually between two stages. The current stage is already exploring AI. We call that intelligentization. And the upcoming stage will be Metaverse, or you can also call that realitization. Why I call that realitization? Because thanks to the digital technologies we human beings invented or accumulated during the past decades, for the first time, we will be able to create new digital realities. We will be able to create new digital universes. So that's why we call Metaverse as the next phase of digitalization, realitization. And we also believe Metaverse is the next biggest thing, because Metaverse has a profound impact on everything. So this is, I believe this is the most inclusive definition of Metaverse. Metaverse from the experiential view could be either a digital and a different universe, we call that virtual reality, or it could be a digital extension of our current universe, we call that augmented or mixed reality, or it could be a digital counterpart of our current universe, we call that digital twin. But from another angle, functional view, people say Metaverse could be the next version of web, next generation of the internet, or the next stage of digitalization. So while some people believe, well, I also believe that AI is transforming production, transforming the forces of production and the relationship of production, but Metaverse will redefine production. Metaverse will redefine life. So that's why we say Metaverse is the next biggest thing. Let's also take a look at the relationship between Metaverse and the sustainability. So some people think that, well, Metaverse, like as such a huge vision, it may be very energy consumption, it may cause lots of carbon emissions, but this is our thoughts. So first of all, of course, we need to work together to develop and build Metaverse infrastructure with lowest energy consumption and also low carbon emission. But also Metaverse can be used in environmental protection, climate change related R&D and education, things like that, to directly address climate change. And more importantly, probably most importantly, is that Metaverse will transfer more and more activities from the real world to digital worlds, which means directly reducing energy consumption and carbon emission. So collectively, we believe Metaverse is not a negative factor in terms of sustainability. Instead, Metaverse could be a cure for sustainability challenges. So I stop here and let my colleague Ramesh explain to you how IEEE has been driving some efforts to pave the road for Metaverse. But I want to add one thing that so we are going to share with you are not just what IEEE has been doing or is planning to do. We believe those are necessary components for any organization to really, let's say, embrace or accelerate the arrival of the takeoff, the real takeoff of the Metaverse industry.
Thank you. How many of you in the room have you heard of this organization called IEEE? How many of you heard about it? Okay, quite a few. So IEEE stands for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, and it's one of the world's largest nonprofit technology-focused organization with 400,000 members in 160 countries. In industry, IEEE is known for like Wi-Fi standard that we use every day, Bluetooth, and also Ethernet, how we connect the internet. So those are some of the popular IEEE standards, and there's over 2,000 standards. And we started, in fact, you started Metaverse standards activities, and you could check out metaverse.ieee.org, and you can see the list of standards. I'll talk about it shortly, but before we talk about standards, I want to talk about this Metaverse Congress. It's the same website, metaverse.ieee.org. So we started organizing virtual as well as in-person sessions since like last June 2022, almost a year and a half now. And almost every month we had an event, sometimes 2 events per month, and it's all over the world, from Davos to Singapore, Hong Kong. Yesterday we had an event at the IEEE Vienna office. So the idea is to bring the stakeholders, experts together, including like policymakers, and for example, yesterday we had participants from Siemens and policymakers, Austrian Foreign Ministry, and you can get an idea of all these stakeholders. We bring them together and we brainstorm on what are the topics that we should focus on to push this technology forward. So just an example, but we've been doing this since June 2022, and now collectively we had over, I think, 500,000 participants, viewers, and combined all of these events that we have done, hybrid as well as in person. And again, please, you're welcome to check out our website, and it's a community driven. In fact, both Yuan and I are volunteers, and we don't get paid by IEEE, but we try, we do this to push the technology forward. And in terms of standards, we have several standards that we have launched, including the, you can see the first one. It's probably hard to read. It's on terminology, definitions, taxonomy, and all the way we have ethically aligned design. And, there's several, including like, decentralized metaverse, and there's a whole list there. Again, all of these activities are summarized on the same website I mentioned a couple of times, metaverse.ieee.org. Now, we're launching a new program under IEEE ISTO. It's called MASA. It's like, NASA is about exploring outer space. MASA, we're trying to explore the metaverse space.
So MASA is also a very positive word in Japanese.
In Japanese. What is the meaning of in Japanese?
Positive something.
Positive, okay. So it stands for, you can see that, Metaverse Acceleration and Sustainability Association, MASA. And in fact, we are talking to interested companies. It's an alliance. We have member companies who join, and we work on certain topics that we will talk about shortly, some work streams to push the industry forward. And you can see the mission statement. Basically, it's a platform for collaboration and collective efforts. Like the example I gave you yesterday, like we had all these different stakeholders come together, and we were brainstorming on what needs to, the areas that need to be, issues that need to be addressed, and areas that we need to collaborate and make progress, right? So that's the idea of this MASA as well in a global scale. And of course, if you look at the mission, you can read about the mission, but we plan to have multiple work streams, like first one about landscape, outlook and roadmaps. I can talk about that here. So this, perhaps Yuan, you can talk about the landscape a little bit, and I'll get into the.
This is actually my draft as a landscape of metaverse technology. We think that core technologies will include spatial computing, which is basically extended human sense and actions, and the persistent computing is about how to create persistent virtual worlds, and the consensus computing is about digital economy and finance. So this is just a starting point. So based on this landscape, we will be developing technology and business landscape outlook and roadmaps. That is one of our 7 work streams.
Yeah, so the roadmaps, as this landscape shows, in fact, you see there's a box called digital finance and economy. This is where the crypto blockchain comes into the picture. So we have multiple communities working on Metaverse. I mean, maybe I'll make it simple. Like there's 2 different ones that I can talk about. Like one is the AR, VR community that, you've been working on this for 2 decades or even longer in this space. And then now we have the crypto blockchain community working on building metaverses as well. Like, I don't know how many of you in this room know about some of these NFTs, like where they, for example, there's a metaverse called Upland, and I don't have any financial affiliation. It's just an example I want to share, where they try to create a virtual copy of the physical world. Like, they would create the streets and buildings of Vienna on this Upland metaverse, and they try to sell them as NFTs, like lands and parcels. So that's an example. So there are several projects that are, of similar kind, where they're building metaverses and they have NFTs and they're on blockchain. So we have these different communities working on metaverse. So we want to actually bring, and they have different ideas and approaches, and we want to bring all those ideas together and map out. And that's the roadmap. Like look at, okay, what ideas are ready today and what would be mature like in 2 years from now or 5 years from now, and do like a maturity assessment and then map it out. And that's the idea of this landscape and roadmaps.
Yeah, it's probably like a extended set of Gartner hype cycle focusing on metaverse with much more details.
Yeah, Gartner just puts a dot right on the hype cycle, but we want to get into more details of all these different ideas, how they would help in making the metaverse real. Now, the next work stream, I don't think we have time to go through every single one. Just wanted to give you a flavor of some of the work streams that we are working on. Like this is another work stream where we want to focus on open standards. So the standards that we develop under MASA program would be open, meaning anyone can access it. And then also we plan to develop certification program around it. Like how many of you know about certification? Like developing standards is one. Then you also have to, when you make a product, you have to make sure it follows that standard. That's called the certification or conformity assessment.
Yeah, maybe I can add that. So, there are many SDOs developing so many standards, but we all know some standards or many standards are write-only, which means nobody will use them. So, but
it's just a document living in a PDF document.
It's write-only, right? Write-only. People only write that. People don't read that, don't use that. But we believe the industry will benefit from a really a recommended set of useful standards for Metaverse. So that's something we will do. We will collaborate with other SDOs to identify a set of useful standards for Metaverse. We make that a recommended set of Metaverse standards, and we will enable or facilitate cross-adoption and open access for these standards. And of course, during this exercise, we will find new gaps or needs for standardization for Metaverse. We will develop new standards in a faster way to address those gaps. So that's something we will be taking a lead and also collaborate with other organizations like the Metaverse Standards Forum. I'm also sitting on the MSF board, and I'm also the treasurer of the Metaverse Standards Forum. So we will be working with MSF and also other organizations like OMA3, like Kronos Group, etc.
And next one is open source. So IEEE has been working on open source for about maybe 4 years now, and we have a platform, and we want to leverage that investment that IEEE has made in this area. So we will make look at open source implementations, reference implementations, and some pilot applications as well.
Yeah, this is probably the most important work stream. As we all know, open source is unleashing tremendous power in the growth of AI. So we believe in terms of Metaverse, open source will also be a very key driving force for the real growth of Metaverse.
And we have 5 minutes left. Should we skip and go to some of the other ones, or we have?
Quickly go through.
Yeah, just quickly see that we have another work stream focusing on digital asset pool and exchange, and also we plan to do some competitions to drive innovations and some ranking. Like I think you can talk about this. You
This
did last,
example was actually from our collaboration with AWUSA. We were a co-sponsor of the AWUSA's XR Prize for Climate Change. That was a very successful competition. So we will be doing more like this to drive innovation by organizing competitions and rankings.
Yeah, so this one, I'm sure it's too small for you to read, but you see a global map. So we've been, visiting many cities, doing meetings like the one I described. Like we did one in Vienna yesterday. We are in Vienna, but IEEE Vienna office, and we've been doing these kind of events. Like you can see, maybe I can read it out. So, San Jose, Silicon Valley, Toronto, New York. Like Davos. We did in Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Bangalore, Singapore, and next week, in a couple of weeks, we'll be in Shenzhen. So we've been basically tapping into all these, different ecosystems. They all have different partners, companies, and we talked to them. In fact, yesterday was all about a lot of policy stuff, this is what we've been doing, trying to understand not just the tech side of it, also on the what is needed in terms of policy and regulation. Otherwise, the technology won't go anywhere. The regulation has to be there for the tech to be adopted, especially for mass-scale deployment.
One example is that we have been working with the Council of Europe to develop a guideline for human rights and democracy in metaverses. So we released a pre-copy in Strasbourg. I think that was back in September. And also recently at the IGF, United Nations Internet Governance Forum in Kyoto, we released another provision. So the final version will be released in December timeframe. That's just one example that we are working with governments and policymakers to address the regulation issue of metaverse.
In fact, that's the next work stream, focusing on safety, privacy, ethics, inclusion, and sustainability. So you can see the whole spectrum, like we cover from the taxonomy, terminology, all the way to safety and ethics under this MASA program. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. We are pretty much talking to all the major players across like U.S., Europe, India, China, South Korea, Japan. Did I miss any country? All of these countries, we talk to all the major companies, and there's a lot of interest in joining this. So if you're interested, please talk to both of us. Now I think we can stop here. Maybe this.
Mention this, yes. So actually, this is not about promoting our new program. This is about, I would say, why we need to work together, no matter it's under this organization or other organization. Why we need to work together to accelerate the arrival of the real takeoff of metaverse industry. So we see huge opportunities thanks to AI, thanks to sustainability challenges. We feel pressing challenges. So why it is now for us to work together to embrace the growth, the significant growth of the metaverse industry.
I think we have 1 minute for questions.
We do.
Maybe I'll have, this is the last slide just for you to read about IEEE, ISO, and all that. But yeah, there's a question in the back here. There's a couple of questions, right? There's actually two.
This gentleman first.
Yeah, I think, is there a mic on the floor?
You can just speak louder.
Is there a mic on the floor?
I could just ask like this.
Okay.
Yeah. So IEEE is, like, from your perspective, really the authority on knowing what is possible technologically. Right? You definitely know what is possible. But a lot of marketing around metaverse applications tends to be very aloof. They talk about, we're going to make the world a better place, we're going to make you happy. But how can people developing metaversal applications
There's a mic. There's a mic there now, yeah, you could use the mic.
So the question basically is that how can people communicate while they're talking about potential metaverse applications about what their actual solution or solutions are? What are they actually doing? What are they going to tangibly provide?
So, well, you can talk about some examples like automotive sector, right? They've been using
So I would say, IEEE, we are known as the world's largest technical organization, but we are expanding our scope from technical to non-technical or social-technical issues. So we will address non-technical issues as well. And also, we used to be a market-driven organization, but now we are doing more like market-driving. Before technology or market become mature enough, where we will be paving the road with standards to set the expectations, set the roadmap. Similar to the autonomous driving industry, everybody is using a SAE G3016 standard, saying you are developing a level 3, I'm developing a level 4, things like that. Those are things we are doing. And,
it says, please wrap up here. So I think we should, I don't know if we should take one more quick question.
In person.
Yeah, we can have more offline discussion. And maybe very quick answer, maybe.
Yeah, super quick. So I think it's really interesting because the metaverse is recreating a lot of the things we have in real life. And you're talking about standards. I feel like we have so many valuable standards in real life, like USB, HDMI, that have you thought about how can we transfer those standards into digital medium and reuse the learnings so that we can recreate the same type of interactions?
That definitely demands collaboration among different SDOs. So Metaverse Standards Forum is a neutral platform for SDOs and the companies to talk to each other. But the Metaverse Standards Forum is not developing standards. It is not a new SDO. So that's why we think MASA is badly needed. We want to take the lead. We, as a new SDO, we will work with MSF. We will work with other SDOs to, like you said, we will identify a recommended set of standards for Metaverse, and we will address the gaps. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we should leave. Thank you.
Thanks so much.